nomine Patris pugnatur, in nomine Filii morimur, ecce signum, signum vitae, signum passionis, signum salutis. Sanguis Christi in memoria corpus eius in conspectu cantus fit sacrificium pugna fit oratio, ecce signum, signum vitae, signum passionis, signum salutis.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back as always. So as you can tell from the title, you already know what this video is about. I meant to get this up actually a few weeks ago, and events have just overtaken me and just have not had a chance. So oddly enough, a few other channels and people have kind of beat me to the punch on this and put similar videos and thoughts up, which is good. More information the better. But even still, I wanted to get mine up because mine's probably going to be a little bit different than a lot of what you've been hearing and are used to. And I'll go into some of the reasons why. So before we get started, understand a couple of things. It's 800 degrees. Humidity is probably about, I don't know, it feels like about 200–300%. It's probably realistically more like about 85–90%, but 200 is about how it feels right now. The vampires are out in force, so you'll just have to deal with a lot of this going on. So, loadout for the armed prepared citizen in a WROL, SHTF, whatever situation where we're having to do security, patrol, etc. Of all the times to have F-15s flying by you, they wait until I start recording. It's like they know. We'll wait for them to get high. I'm sure it's killing the audio on the camera because there's one, yeah, there's four of them. Cue your Jeopardy theme music now. I could edit this out, but why? We do it for real here. Alright, as they fade off into the distance, hopefully y'all can still hear me good now. So, armed prepared citizen, light support weapon, loadout, SHTF, WROL, whatever case may be type situation. So, you should know by now, if you've been around long enough, the very first thing I'm going to hit on right here before we get into anything else is going to be that lovely word of context. Yes, context. I'm going to harp on that word until the day I die, because no one seems to give it. It's like it's a foreign concept. Now, I understand there's a lot of channels out there trying to present you cool stuff that's of entertainment value, but the problem is they don't ever give that context, and too many people can't differentiate between what's an entertainment video and what's somebody trying to give you legit, real world info. So, keeping in the context of things have gone craptastically horrible, and we're having to do this for real, which is right off the bat no bueno. Not something that any of us sane-minded people actually want, for the most part. we have to start taking into consideration a whole bunch of different things. Like, where are we at? Are we in our suburban subdivision? Are we on a rural farm, rural retreat, a lot of woods around, not a lot of people around? Where are we at? Okay. Then we got to start taking into consideration who do we have with us? Do we got friends? We got family? Do we have our group? What do we got? That's going to dictate a whole bunch of things. We also have to take into consideration that in that context and environment, we have no resupply. Whatever we have, once it kicks off, is most likely, short of some very, very fortunate and lucky scavenging, whatever we've got is what we're going to have. Okay? You cannot plan on getting anything else. Now again, scavenging is a thing, but you can't bank on that. You can't count on that as being something that's going to provide you with supplies, equipment, etc. So we've got very finite, limited resources. Probably going to have very finite, limited manpower. So on and so forth. You get the idea where I'm going with the context, all right? Now, as always, I'm going to show you my stuff, my setup, for my purposes and my situation. I cannot tell you what you should do for your situation because I don't know you and I don't know your situation. Anybody that does that is being extraordinarily dishonest with you at best, or disingenuous at best. Some of them might even be trying to intentionally deceive you. You cannot rule that out. Just keep that in mind, okay? So, what we're talking about here is supporting the light support weapon, right? This is our Armed Prepared Citizens equivalent of, as I originally called it many, many years ago before anybody else had anything up on the topic, my area denial gun. But the same equivalent of like a IAR, the auto rifle, so on and so forth. It's a magazine-fed, semi-automatic weapon designed specifically to provide suppressive fire for your team. If you are fortunate enough to have something like a forced reset trigger, that will add to the capabilities. There are a number of things that I'm going to touch on though with regards to forced reset triggers that too many people are not taking into consideration and thinking about. I want to make sure it's in your head. So, this is the gun. Let's go over the gun first, then we can get into the gear. You'll notice what I've got on this. I have a bipod, I have a 1x sight with a 3x magnifier that probably won't stay on there all the time, which is why I like the thumb screw. If they made a throw lever version, I would even have that so I could take it on and off as needed. I run a 40 round magazine in it, grip and a stock. Set of backup iron sights. Not that I'm a big fan overall, but with a projected red dot optic like this, Murphy can strike and batteries can go dead. On an edged reticle optic, I'm not so much worried about it. But in the event that battery strikes, electronics go bad, whatever, I do have backup iron sights. You'll notice that there's nothing else on this gun. Why is that? Well, let's start with the usual things. Number one, there's no visible or IR laser on this gun. The role of light support weapon is not to be lasing targets. It's not it at all. Contrary to popular belief, you're probably not going to be using it to engage targets at night under IR and nods either. Maybe, but if you're under IR and nods, let's just hypothetically say you're setting up an ambush on something. At that point, you're going to be far more beneficial of just simple semi-automatic fire from your regular weapons doing precise shots, because you're likely taking the opponent by surprise, because if he's got nods, then that it's a moot point at that there. So if you've got nods and he don't, then you're not going to want to waste a bunch of ammunition or anything else. It's just pa-chink, 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 and the game's over if you do it right. So no laser on here. It's weight and bulk that I do not want to be toting around. I already have enough weight and bulk on me as it is. I don't want that. I don't need that. There's also no light on here. Contrary to popular belief, and I do have a video planned on this, every rifle does not have to have a light. Every rifle does not need a light. I know half the internet literally just inhaled and consumed a quarter of the oxygen on the planet simultaneously. How dare you say such a thing? Yeah, so back to that context and reality thing, that's what we try to deal in here. I'm not going to be taking a white light in the dark and trying to light up things out here for a host of reasons. Number one, it doesn't work. Number two, it lights me up more than it does anybody else that might be a bad guy. Again, video planned on that. I just got to have the time and things to work out so I can be where I need to be to do it in the dark. Every gun does not need a light. My light support weapon does not need a white light. Now, as I'm saying all this, again, harp on the context. The other thing we're going to harp on, you do you. I am not telling you this is the way you have to do this. I'm telling you this is the way I do it, and my reasons, and our reasons for my my inner circle of friends and associates. No white light. It's one more thing to snag on stuff out here, to add unneeded weight, and just be a pain in the butt. I don't need a light out here. I'll give you an example of where the context comes in. You may be in your suburban subdivision, and you may have some main roads, and at the subdivision entrance, you are fortunate enough to have been able to organize enough neighbors that you have set up a defensive situation for your subdivision. You've got a checkpoint / gate at the entrance, and you've got somebody manning light support weapon at that position. That might be a position where you want a light on here, because it's going to be more of a static location with open areas that you might want to light up somebody that's approaching your gate. Now, ideally, again, that's not going to be the job of the light support guy to be lighting people up. That's going to be your other folks that are there with lights on their individual rifles. But depending on manpower, there's that context thing again, it might behoove you to be able to have one on here. That's why we have the capability of putting one on, and we make sure that whatever lights we got are easily taken on and off so that we can move it from one gun to another if we need to, as the situation warrants and dictates. That's the gun, okay? We're keeping it super simple. Super simple, okay? Now, let's jump into the gear. You can see the load that I have on right here, hopefully. Hopefully it's showing. So I've got my LBE rig and my patrol pack. This would be a standard loadout. Contents may vary depending on what I'm doing. From my context, it's going to be at our rural retreat out in the middle of nowhere with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acres of woods and all that kind of good stuff, swamps, so on and so forth. So I set mine up for those purposes. Now, if you are in that similar situation, understand, as armed prepared citizens, regardless if it's the rural retreat, if it's a suburban subdivision, whatever, we are not trying to be a direct action force. Any direct action that we may end up having to do is going to be very dedicated, purposeful, planned out ambushes. Otherwise, we're going to be pretty defensive in nature, i.e. our security patrols are for information gathering, reconnaissance. We want to know what's going on around us before it gets right on top of us. We are not looking to get into a fight. We're trying to avoid a fight. If we do get into a fight, 99.9% of the time, we're probably going to want to break contact, implement Plan Nike, and get the heck out of Dodge. You're not going to be sitting there duking it out with a force that's attacked you, because you're probably not going to know how big they are, despite delusions of grandeur, and you're likely, not set in stone, but likely to probably have a very small team of 2 or 3 guys if you're lucky. This is where the light support weapon comes in, of being able to lay down controlled suppressive fire so that me and my team can diddy bop out of trouble that we've gotten into that we really never wanted to get into in the first place. So my loadout is going to reflect that, in that I'm not packing 200 pounds of stuff to go out on a day patrol, because I'm likely not going to be getting very far from my home base of operations. Because why? Well, for that context thing again, I told you I was going to harp on that. Just get used to it. If I do get into trouble, who's coming to help me? If I'm lucky enough to have 2 or 3 more spare people back at the home base, how are they going to get to me? Well, first they got to know where I'm at. Hopefully you're doing good communication skills and somebody's keeping track of your patrols and they got a rough idea of where you're at. But B, you still got to relay that in real time as you're beating feet or whatever. And then additionally, they've got to be able to get to you. Well, what's the situation looking like for them to get to you? Do they have working, running vehicles that they can get to you quickly? Or are they going to have to get to you on foot and cover the same distance that you covered in the previous 3 hours that you were out on your patrol before you ended up getting into contact? Your loadout needs to reflect that, okay? As always, you do you. I'm just throwing this out there, okay? So I've got my LB and I've got my patrol pack. Nice and simple. Now, I'm not going to get into all the detailed contents of everything, because again, I've got my stuff set up for who I'm working with and my terrain and my situation. It's for me. You've got to set yours up for you, whatever your given situation is. So the contents may vary. There are some common things that are going to be across the board, but hopefully you're smart enough to figure those out for yourself. But just a small, lightweight patrol pack. One of the key things that's going to be in my patrol pack is going to be water. You cannot carry enough water. It's almost a guarantee. I can tell you right now, for us in the summer, it is extraordinarily difficult to do decent patrols, simply because even as light as we try to run, the amount of water that you have to carry to not become a heat casualty is just off the charts. I really don't think some of you really comprehend how much water you're going to go through on foot in the heat of the summer toting this stuff around. If you do comprehend that, then good on you, right? But rest assured, you're going to go through it, okay? Water is going to be probably one of the bulk of the weight that you're carrying for the most part. So anyway, I've got my patrol pack. Now, this pack is currently set up for a different use. It is not packed for the specific context of what we're talking about here, patrolling. Different pack that I keep loaded up, but it's the same as my patrol pack, and it was handy, so I grabbed it. Same pack, just different contents, because it has a different job that it does every day. But again, you get the idea. In case anybody's wondering, because everybody gets gaga over the specifics, this is a Crossfire CF1. That's it, okay? Now, the LBE itself. Here's where we get into the meat and crux of the situation. hang on a minute. The eyes are burning because, holy crap, sweat. What y'all don't see is it literally running down my back and running down my legs, standing still talking to you, okay? That's the aggravating part of this whole thing, is I'm not even doing anything other than just standing here talking to you guys, and it's just like a wave of just hot, sticky moisture. Just, it wraps its arms around you and gives you a big old giant wet bear hug. Don't recommend it. You guys that are further up north and don't have this much, this kind of heat and humidity combination to deal with, man, y'all need to count your blessings. Anyway, of course, gloves are a thing. Anytime you're out doing the stuff, you gotta have gloves on. I'll just go ahead and say it, and I don't care if it offends you. You're a fool if you don't, and a moron at best. So this is just a standard Eagle Molly LBE rig that I put some of my own pouches on for anybody asks. They're the ones that I make. These are set up for 2 40-round PMags per pouch. I have 2 here, 2 here. That gives me 4 40-round PMags, excuse me, 4 per side, 8 total, plus the one in the gun. That is 9 mags at 40 rounds apiece. That's 360 rounds. I am not military. I am not getting into an intentional protracted gunfight. That is not an open bolt weapon that you just crank down on the trigger and just spray ammo. I don't have helicopters bringing me more ammo. I don't have the ability to requisition more ammo. Whatever I've got in my home base operations is all I'm going to have. Ammo discipline is going to be a thing for the armed prepared citizen, and you have got this, you absolutely have to get wrapped around in your head that light sport weapon, especially if you've got an FRT in it, is not something you're just going to hammer down with and just hose everything. You're going to have to learn how to do fire discipline. You're going to have to learn how to fire in short bursts, because you're going to run out of ammo real quick, and being a closed bolt gun, you're going to overheat the gun real quick. It's not designed to do that kind of sustained fire over and over again for an extended period like an open bolt weapon is. There's a reason why actual machine guns are open bolt and have quick change barrel systems on. There's reasons why. So get that through your head. Stop getting in the idea that you're just going to copy the military, as we've discussed before. Do not copy what big Army, big Marine Corps is doing, guys. That's not us. We are armed, prepared citizens. I don't care if you're just in the defensive role like me and my associates are, or if you are of the Minuteman flavor, defending against whatever. Doesn't matter. It's still the same situation. Okay? Again, the context and the logistics are going to come up and bite you if you don't. That's why I've got 8 mags plus 1 in the gun. That's going to force me to be very cognizant of my ammo management. Now, you also got to play the odds a little bit. The odds of you getting into a fight with a force that you need more ammo than what you've got right here, plus whatever your teammates have got, is going to be extraordinarily low unless you have done some very, very stupid things. Again, who's your threat? I know this goes against what a lot of you want to believe, but our number one threat, if crap ever goes sideways, is going to be the hundreds of thousands of sheeple out there who suddenly have no food, no running water, no sanitation, and no police, and they become extraordinarily hungry, extraordinarily desperate, or the already evil parts of society are then free to band up and run rampant because there's no one to stop them. If you're doing your job right as an armed prepared citizen, you should be far ahead of most, not all, but most of those types of people, in so much as your preparations, your training, your planning, etc. That's who most of your threat's going to be. You're not going to be going up against freaking first world tier 1 super operators. If you find yourself in that position, you've done a lot of things really wrong. You've made some really horrible choices, and it wouldn't matter how much ammo you got on you, it's probably not going to end well. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. Not in the context of armed prepared citizen, just with your family friends. So I keep the front of this rig open. Why do I keep it open when my mag pouch is to the side? Number one, so that I can take a knee, and when I take a knee on the ground, mag pouches are over to the side of my leg. It doesn't inhibit me, and you can't see it on the camera, but as I go down, everything stays to the side of my thighs. It doesn't dig into the front right here. It also allows me to go prone and have nothing underneath me. I want all this clear so I can lay down and get behind the gun and do what I got to do. The two primary positions you're going to get in employing this weapon is going to be prone and kneeling, most likely. Probably not often that you're going to be standing and trying to fire. Probably going to be prone or kneeling. My gear reflects that. The other things that I've got on here, it's not a fancy loadout, guys. It's simple. I've got my radio pouch for my radio to be able to talk to the team. I've got a small GP pouch right here for a couple of incidentals. And then I'll have two canteen pouches on the back. I don't have them on here at the moment to show you because I'm revamping some things and I'm in the process of getting some new ones. But I'll have my two canteen pouches back here for my two water bottles, and then more water and hydration in my patrol pack. Everything else I want to carry is going to go in the patrol pack or in pockets on my clothing, okay? I'm not putting freaking 400 pouches on here and trying to have 50 different things to get in and out of. It just doesn't work. Let me address this real quick because I know somebody's going to ask it, because they always do. Somebody's going to comment about it. Let me save you the trouble. For radio comms, for me, for inter-team use, not talking back to the talk, inter-team use, big fan of just a simple, cheap Baofeng or whatever brand shoulder mics. Why? Because they're cheap. Oh, well, yeah, they're cheap. They're crap. They're not crap, they're just cheap. But at 12 bucks a piece, I can afford to have quite a few of them, and if one of them goes bad, I chunk it and I put another one on. It's not a big deal. Additionally, I like the ones like this one that has the small port on the bottom where I can plug in an earplug. This does two things. Number one, if I'm out on patrol, I'm going to have the earbud in. I want my comms to be silent. That way I can hear what any of my other teammates need to tell me, and it's all silent right here in my ear, and nobody else around me can hear it. However, if it's not my day to be out on patrol, and I'm just sitting at the front gate or the subdivision front gate or whatever on security, I can unplug my earbud, keep my ears open, and just have the shoulder mic. I'm not worried about the noise from the mic coming at that point. It also keeps my push-to-talk right here, so that all I've got to do is just reach over, Roger, on the move, and I can go. It also keeps me from having a whole bunch of wires running everywhere, because that just gets annoying, and I don't care how well you tape everything up, this stuff out here will grab a hold of it and rip them off. You might not believe me, but I'm telling you from experience, okay? The less wires I've got running around, the better. Again, video for another day. This isn't a comms video, but I know I got to address that because somebody's going to, in the comment section, going to jump on that and ask about it. So there you go. That's it, guys. The only other thing, I always have a fixed knife on either on me or on my gear somewhere. You should always have a fixed knife on you, and it doesn't have to be a big knife. In fact, it probably shouldn't be. A 4 to 5 inch bladed knife will do pretty much everything you need it to do without any issues and without being a burden and getting in your way. So, don't think that you got to carry a freaking 20-inch machete around with you. Small fixed blade knife. You should always have one all the time. What else? Everything else I'll be carrying is going to be in my clothing, in my pockets, in the pack. This is where the vast majority of your stuff on patrol should be kept at. It's designed to carry things on your back and shoulders out of your way so you can do what you need to do. I don't want anything else on this rig to hinder it. I want water, I want ammo, I want my comms. I need to keep my gun running and keep myself running. Everything else I can either stop and take it out of my pack or have a teammate hand me out of the pack. It's that simple. Resist the urge, just my suggestion. As previously said, you do you. Resist the urge to have 40 different pouches on here. I know somebody's already going to bring it up. What about an IFAK? Well, again, that's a video for another time, but I'm probably going to have my IFAK on the outside of my patrol pack in this roll because of how I've got this rig set up. Or I could replace this small GP pouch with an IFAK and have it there. Either way, I still have it. But we have to understand, again, video for another time. I'm trying not to get too far off into the weeds on different things here because we could dive into each of these rabbit holes and we'd be here another 6 hours and not even scratch the surface. If we are in a WROL, SHTF, Terminator, zombie invasion, whatever, that, again, God forbid, we have to do the things. Having a whole bunch of chest seals and tourniquets on me aren't necessarily going to be of a whole lot of benefit. I know that's controversial to say, but without a first world trauma center to get to in that golden hour, there's a strong chance that you are literally causing yourself a slow, painful death. It might be less painful and quicker just to bleed out. Again, I'm not saying that that is what you should do. Believe me, I'm just saying it's something you need to think about and discuss with your people on that level. Throwing a tourniquet or something on might be just to keep you alive long enough to get you back home to say goodbye to your family, which is a valid consideration and concern. But again, I'm not loading this down with a bunch of trauma gear. I'm more likely to fill this pouch up with packets of antibiotic and Band-Aids and antibiotic ointment, Band-Aids, gauze, cling wrap, gauze pads, things that I can address every one of these freaking giant thorned vines and briars that grabs a hold of me and rips a cut in me and dumps a bunch of bacteria in, that I can stop, squirt some ointment on, put a pad on and wrap up and keep from dying from septic infection. That's what I'm more likely to have on me in a grid down type situation. So for grid up training and practice, absolutely. Have all the IFAKs you want. When we start talking grid down and there ain't no hospitals, ambulances, or helicopters, that's something you need to talk about with your own people and address and come up with your own answer and solution. And take a lot of things into consideration. Again, rabbit hole, let's get back on focus. Light support weapon gear. I'll go back and harp one more time on the ammo. Resist the urge, guys, to try to carry a freaking 1,000 rounds of ammo on you? First off, can you even spare that 1,000 rounds of ammo out of what you've got stashed? I would dare to say 90+% of people probably can't. I know you're the exception. You that are just fixing to type, you're the exception. I get it. You've got 50,000 rounds squared away, and every one of your team members has got 50,000 rounds, and you know that you will all be able to pack it up and get it to your retreat area or have access to it at your house in your subdivision or whatever. I get it. I know that you're the exception. But for 90% of the rest of the people, myself included, that's not the case. So, loading up the bulk of my ammunition on me to take out in one trip, whether people want to admit it or not, the more ammo you've got on you, the more likely you are to shoot it. Because subconsciously in the back of your mind's going to go, oh, I still got 10 more mags on me. I can blow through this one. And then a minute later, oh, I've still got 9 more mags. I can blow through this one. Oh, I've got 8 more. I can blow through this one. And the next thing you know, you've blown through a whole lot of ammo that you cannot replace, when you could have accomplished the same exact goal with a quarter of the ammo expenditure. Ammo management. You got to practice it. You got to learn it. You got to take it into consideration. Same with what I'm carrying on me. Additionally, as I just got finished complaining and whining and moaning about, right now it is freaking disgustingly hot and humid out here, especially in the wet swamp that's behind me. All that extra weight that you put on you to carry is weight you've got to carry. It's going to expend more energy. You're likely not going to be on a good diet already if we're doing this stuff. Oh, we didn't think about that, did you? Yeah, you're probably already not going to be on a good diet, at least not what you're normally accustomed to. So you're already at a deficit there. Now you're carrying more weight, you're expending more calories, and you're sweating more, going through more water, which all the extra water that you've got to carry is additional weight on top of all that ammo that you're trying to carry. You get where I'm going. Practicing a little ammo management is going to be a thing. Do not, I reiterate, copy what Big Army, Big Marine Corps do when it comes to the IAR gunners in the Marine Corps, your squad auto gunners in the Army, etc. Resist the urge to just copy what they're doing, both from an employment and tactics standpoint, from a loadout standpoint. That is not us, guys. I implore you to keep that in mind. I'm afraid a lot of people are going to have to learn the hard way what I'm talking about in that regards. So if you can take anything away from it, to keep that in mind. Learn how to practice slow, controlled bursts. Put yourself on the other end of your fire. If I was on the receiving end of whatever fire I'm laying down, how inclined would I be to expose myself to take a shot, to move, whatever? You can't see it on camera, but there's a big old gigantic tree right here next to me. If I was using that tree for cover, here, let me see if I can swing this around. We're just going to do it right, okay? You can see the size of this tree right here, right? I can completely get behind this tree, especially if I'm proned out on the ground down here, coming out beside it. Now, picture yourself behind that tree, right? Now, picture yourself as shooting at yourself behind that tree. If there's a bullet blowing bark off of that tree every 3 seconds, how likely are you to say, oh, well, I can get up and run? Think about that. The person that's shooting at you has got you dialed in. They're shooting slow enough and controlled enough that it's highly likely as soon as you expose yourself, they're already going to be on you and nail you. It doesn't take sustained, continuous, full auto fire to keep someone suppressed. We're not talking about shooting at a 30-man platoon of infantry coming after you. That's a whole, again, that goes back to if you're in that position where you've got a whole 30-man platoon coming after you, you've messed up in a whole bunch of other ways. That's another video again. Think about keeping somebody suppressed. I'm just trying to keep these guys so that they don't want to move from behind their cover or don't feel like popping up to take a shot at me or my friends while my friends and I are moving and getting the heck out of the way. Or maneuvering and flanking them and finishing the fight. Whichever the case may be, the suppression can still be the same. It doesn't require near as much ammo as some folks would have you to believe. Now, it makes for great entertaining videos when you see the guys all jocked up in all their cool guys Delta gear and they're ready to go kick indoors, and body armor and helmets and nods and thermals and lasers and lights and just all the things, and man, they're getting after it and just hammering down mag after mag after mag and dumping water on the gun and just mag after mag after mag. That's a great entertainment video. Very cool. Fun to sit and watch. I enjoy watching good entertainment. Separate the entertainment from the reality. Separate an armed prepared citizen versus active duty first world military. There's a difference, okay? Hopefully you guys get the point. Hopefully y'all understand what I'm trying to accomplish here with you. This can be a very, very, very valuable tool to add to your capabilities and that of your family, friends, team, group. Just make sure you're keeping the context and the reality of the situation, how you're going to employ it, how you're setting it up, and how you're planning on supporting the support weapon so that it can support you and your team, all right? I have got to go get something to drink because it is ridiculously hot out here, and I am perspiring quite rapidly. Not that any of you give a flying flip about that, but there it is. So, I'm going to go get something to drink, head back to the house. You guys take care, stay safe, get out there and use your stuff. You've got to train with it, you've got to practice with it, you got to get sweaty, you got to get dirty. It's the only way you're going to know what you want, how you need to have it set up, etc. Take care, guys, stay safe. I'll see you in another one.